6.1 Design and validate assessment, test, and audit strategies. In this task, we cover internal assessments, external assessments, and third-party engagements, focusing on how these contribute to a comprehensive audit strategy. Each of these requires a careful consideration to ensure that we are protecting not just individual systems, but the organization as a whole. And as always, if I don't go deep enough, you know what to do with that prompt we have at the end. So a quick overview of the 4 subtasks we have. That's internal assessments, which focus on systems under the organization's control. External assessments, targeting areas outside the organization's control. And third-party assessments, where we look at vendors and external services. And finally, location-based assessment, covering on-prem, cloud, and hybrid environments. Each of these subtasks plays a role in ensuring comprehensive security coverage. By understanding how to conduct and validate these assessments, you're preparing yourself not just for the exam, but for the real-world responsibility of maintaining security and compliance across an organization. And don't worry if some of these concepts feel repetitive. Again, security is about layering protections, and these layers are interconnected. 6.1.1 Internal assessments. Internal assessments focus on evaluating systems and processes that are within the organization's control. This is key for both the exam and in practice because you'll often need to ensure compliance with internal policies and external regulations. Some key elements include scope and objective. First, it's critical to clearly define what you're assessing. This includes systems, processes, and data. Regulatory compliance. You need to make sure the assessments align with industry regulations such as GDPR or PCI DSS, as well as internal policies. Resource allocation. It's important to allocate the right people, tools, and time to conduct these assessments effectively. Methodology selection. Choosing the right methods and tools is key to getting actionable insights. This could range from vulnerability scanning to more in-depth penetration testing. Reporting and remediation. Finally, after you identify vulnerabilities, you must report them and ensure they are remediated in a timely manner. In summary, internal assessments allow you to regularly check your organization's health, ensuring everything remains secure and compliant. 6.1.2 External assessments. These assessments involve having someone outside your organization, like a third-party firm, test the security of your systems. While the systems themselves belong to your organization, the testing is conducted from an external perspective. Here are some important elements. External penetration testing. In this case, a third-party security professional simulate attacks on your system, helping you find vulnerabilities that could be exploited by outside attackers from your organization. Red team engagements. External red teams simulate real-world attacks to see how well your defenses stand up under pressure. This helps you identify weaknesses and blind spots. However, this could be a little overkill for many organizations outside of military and high-risk scenarios. So many places today have gone to a combination of kind of blue-red team, known as the purple team. By having external testers work closely with your internal defenders or blue team, you create a feedback loop that can enhance the overall security posture. Third-party compliance. When you involve third parties in testing your systems, make sure they follow important standards like GDPR or PCI DSS to ensure compliance. Also, they can be used to help provide a third-party attestation to your compliance to these standards. Vulnerability remediation and reporting. Once vulnerabilities are identified, it's critical to document them and ensure they are fixed in a timely manner. While testing is done by people on the outside, remember the systems under evaluation are still yours. Understanding this distinction will help you in both the exam and the real world. 6.1.3 Third-party assessments. This is all about evaluating the security of external vendors or service providers your organization relies on. For the exam, it's critical to understand how to manage the risks that third parties bring into your environment. Some critical areas to focus on. Third-party risk assessments. Before engaging with any third-party vendor, you need to perform a thorough risk assessment to identify potential security gaps that could affect your organization. This step helps you understand what risks you might inherit by working with them. Service level agreements. Ensure your SLA with third parties clearly defines security standards they must meet. These agreements should outline your expectations for how they will protect your data and systems. Continuous monitoring and auditing. It's not enough to assess third party just once. Continuous monitoring and regular audits are necessary to ensure they maintain compliance with your requirements. Incident response coordination. You should work closely with third-party vendors to ensure that incident response plans are well coordinated. This ensures fast, effective action if a security breach involves a third-party system or service. Remember, third-party security is an extension of your organization's security. Any weakness in a vendor's system could become a weakness in your system. So these assessments are critical. You'll see these principles come up again in other areas of the exam, so it's important to understand how everything is interconnected. 6.1.4 Location-based assessments. This subtask focuses on assessing systems based on where they are located, whether on-prem, in the cloud, or in a hybrid environment. This is increasingly important for the CISSP exam, as modern environments often span multiple locations. Key aspects include on-premise assessments. For systems located within your organization's physical infrastructure, you'll focus on things like physical security, network segmentation, and access controls. This can also include data center risks like environmental controls and physical access logs. Cloud security assessments. For cloud-based systems, you need to evaluate controls such as identity and access management, data encryption, and API security. You'll also need to ensure compliance with shared responsibility model between your organization and the provider. Hybrid environment testing. When your systems span both on-prem and cloud, it's critical to assess security connectivity, focusing on data in transit, identity federation, and ensuring that security policies are consistently applied across both environments. Multi-cloud strategy evaluation. If your organization uses multiple cloud providers, it's important to assess security across different platforms. This includes ensuring consistent security standards, addressing data sovereignty, and managing cross-cloud controls. As more organizations adopt cloud and hybrid environments, location-based assessments are becoming increasingly important. Understanding how to tailor your assessments based on system location is a key concept in the exam and in your overall security strategy. All right, as we're wrapping this up, I want you to understand there's some overlap and yet some testable differences between the generic term assessment, or sometimes used to describe like an internal assessment, but not always. But between testing, which is coming up in the next task, and then in task 6.5, auditing. So testing tends to be a much more technical thing where you focus on simulations and test tools and techniques and stuff, or maybe you're testing the response team's ability to recognize and respond or whatever. But an audit is a much more formal and compliance-driven type of thing, so it's considered much more of an administrative control as we move on. But either way, this task is about everything in assessment, testing, and auditing. So here's what we kind of covered, that we need a comprehensive assessment strategy. We talked about assessing security from multiple perspectives, internal, external, and third party. And then we also have to cover systems of what's being tested. Are they testing our internal stuff, or are they testing our service providers? I would love to be able to test my stuff at AWS, but I can't always do that. So I rely on the third-party audits from whatever the American Institute of CPAs, right? And then again, the assessment versus testing versus audit. Assessments can identify a lot of issues. Testing puts the controls to the test. And audits ensure formal compliance with standards and regulations. And if any of this didn't seem to left you with some, foggy, what did he mean by that? I don't know. That's not the way we use it in our place. Larry, we use that word different here. This is where you do that. So especially again on either use line 5 and say the concept of audit versus testing or something like that. Or add a line. Delete a line. Have fun.